Hi, I'm Chelsea Husum, your host of the Lip Service and Lashes podcast. I'm an entrepreneur, author, speaker, and mom of two. And I'm so tired of women not feeling like they can show up as fully expressed versions of themselves. So here, we're all about that unapologetically, because honestly, we don't have time not to. Literally because we're busy as F moms and entrepreneurs, but also figuratively because we don't know how much time we have on this planet and we want to make an impact now. But if we're doing this, we're making it real vibes only. So let's get inspired, laugh our asses off, quite possibly cry, and feel like you're sitting on the couch with your bestie and a glass of wine. I'm so happy you're here. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Lip Service and Lashes podcast. I am your host, Chelsea Husum, and I'm so excited you're here. Today, I have Dr. Courtney Evans with me. Dr. Courtney is a best-selling author and divorce recovery coach dedicated to helping individuals stop living a life full of shoulds, reclaim their happiness, and find their sense of purpose after one of life's most challenging transitions. Having risen from the ashes after divorce, she knows firsthand how overwhelming and isolating the journey can feel. That's why she has made it her mission to guide others toward healing, growth, and happily ever after. Courtney, I'm so excited to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I have to start and say that we are fellow Landon Hill Press authors. So that's how we connected. And I think you came a little bit after my initial journey. So that's been really cool to help each other support, new books coming out and things like that. So when did you know you wanted to write a book about this?
The day after it happened.
Really?
Really, really early on. So writing has always been really big to me. Journal writing, nothing professional. Really for my whole life, I've just put pen to paper when I'm mad, sad, happy, frustrated. So
Yeah.
as the journey started, as I started thinking about divorce, I really started putting pen to paper then. Did I know it was going to make its way to a book at the time? Not necessarily.
Yeah. And I do love, there are a lot of little snippets of, you can tell, you're going back to those journal entries and things like that in your book, which I love. So can you tell us before we jump into it, at what point in your relationship or your thoughts did you know that divorce was your only option for happiness? Like explain kind of where you were at and like that moment, if it was, or whatever happened that you're like, this has to happen.
I think there were glimmers, honestly, from the beginning.
Mm,
But it was things where, we put on our shades and we don't recognize the red flags. But I think the point at which the shades came off and there was no way for me to deny it was when my child started to hear the fighting, understand up to the age appropriate level what was going on at the time, and was repeating some of it to like my mother, who was his babysitter, and things like that. That was when, because I was a child whose parents stayed together for me.
oh,
Um,
mm,
and I wish they hadn't of. They're still together and I wish that they weren't. And I know what that side of it is like, watching toxicity, thinking that's what makes a marriage. And when I realized that my child was being impacted and seeing that, and he was going to grow up and think that that's what marriage was like, it was like something hit me in the back of the head and threw those shades off my face. And I was reliving my childhood in that moment. And I realized there's no changing this. There's no fixing it. I have to save him the way nobody saved me.
oh, that's so powerful. And I've been through, my parents have gotten two divorces, so I'm a child of divorce. But I was also thinking before the interview, how many people stay in marriages where they are so broken and so unfulfilled, right? But they just, because that it's kind of like, as horrible as it might be, that might be the quote easiest way, versus like telling your family, your friends, your children, hey, I'm choosing to end this, right? I mean, can you talk to us about like, I'm sure you've talked to a lot of people, like how hard is that for people to really come to terms with that and decide to divorce instead of just staying together?
Honestly, it's one of the hardest decisions you'll ever make. There's no
Mm.
quantifying that.
Yeah.
Because you have all these things running through your head where I'm going to lose potentially a home, a vehicle, savings accounts, money. You
Yeah.
have all those intricacies, but the biggest thing is am I going to lose access to my children? I
Yeah.
know it's, I mean, no matter how amicable you are or anything like that, there will be nights you're not tucking your child in. There will be
Mhm.
mornings that you're waking up and not taking them to school. There are memories you're going to miss out on, and weighing the risk versus benefit of leaving or staying is one of, I mean, epic gravity.
Oh, absolutely. But I love what you said. You made the decision that yes, I might not be tucking my child in every night, but I'm doing this for him, for my child, right? And that's huge because you're kind of you might have to suffer a little more in ways, right? But you're ultimately doing it for your children.
Oh, 100%. I needed to see, I needed him to see a happy, healthy mama
Yes.
and grow up knowing that that's how you treat people. That's how you should be treated. I didn't want him to grow up accepting less than or giving less than. And staying in that position would have had him thinking that that is what marriage, that is what love, that is what parenthood looks like. And I didn't, if I have to be uncomfortable to make sure that he grows up in a loving, safe environment where he feels comfortable and his mom and his dad are healthier versions of
Yeah.
themselves, make me uncomfortable, make me as uncomfortable as I need to be because it's about him.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, it's so important that you saw that and made that decision and you're showing him this is not what marriage is because he probably would have gone on and same thing that you saw, you're like you clearly should not be together, but you stayed together for me and it kind of did you a disservice, right? Cuz now you're like, "Oh, that's what marriage is." So you really did him a favor to say this is not what marriage is and not continue that cycle, right?
Yes, because ultimately, now don't get me wrong, we had our own adult issues, but I do think that the fact that my parents' marriage and what that mirrored to me, what that showed to me,
Mhm.
lent to why my marriage ended up the way that it did, why I
Mhm.
ended up with who I did, and how I responded to things the way that I did. I was
Yeah.
100% repeating the cycle until my son started to see it. And I realized I'm just passing this right along to him. If I don't make a change and do something different, this is going to go right on to him.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's like you had to be aware of it, but you didn't know any better. When we're kids, right? We don't know any better. And that's so you look to your family to be like, this is quote normal. But there could be so much dysfunction in it, but that's what we think is normal. And you're right. You pass that on and pass it on until someone stops that cycle. So kudos to you.
$100%.
I can't imagine how, it's such a decision, but that's really, really cool that you knew you had to for him.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So, what does it mean to you? You've gone through all of this, and to chase after your happily ever after, and to work to forgive yourself and others. Like, what has that journey been like for you?
Um, can I say the H word on this podcast?
You can swear as much as you want on my podcast. Always go crazy.
Woohoo! It was hell. It was, and that's not even a really bad one, but it was the literal definition of hell. I told somebody not that long ago, and I thought it was just kind of funny the way I put it, and she was like, "Oh my God, that resonates." I was like, it was literally like walking on a tightrope with fire and sharks below you. Like it did
Mm,
not matter what direction you went in, something bad was inevitably going to blow up or happen, all while you're trying to life. You know what I
hmm.
mean?
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah,
you still have to work, you still have to mom, you still have to shower, you still have to buy groceries
yes,
and do all these things. And it's like life is literally imploding around me and I'm still expected to get up and brush my hair every morning. Like
yeah,
it was torture.
yeah. That's brutal. It is when you're going through such a hard time. It is like, oh, great. Yeah, I have to like shower and feed people. You
I
know what
have
I
to be
mean?
a functioning adult today. What do you
Dang
mean?
it. This is the last literal thing on the planet I want to do, but we suck it up and do it, right? And you
We
get through it.
do.
And
Yeah.
so how many years ago was your divorce?
9.
Okay. So can you talk to somebody cuz I have a few friends that have recently got divorced. They're in it. They are like hot mess, right? Maybe
Yeah.
uncovering things they didn't know or whatever. Can you talk to people about, if they're in it right now, like, does it get a little bit easier as time goes on, or, or words of advice for them right now if they're in it?
Absolutely. It does get better, but you have to make the choice for it to get better. And some people, they throw up roadblocks to that choice, and everybody's roadblocks are going to be completely different. And you said it. There are things that you're going to start uncovering when you decide to get a divorce, and it can be things from your childhood, your adolescence. It's multifaceted. It's not just that you and your spouse are separating lives. Like, there's so many different entities that come up. You get very, very flooded with all of it. So taking it step by step and making the choice and reframing it every single day is going to help you get there a lot faster. And the reason that I can say that with such conviction, because I'm sure that there are people that will say, "Oh, that sounds great," but the reason I can say that is because I didn't do that. This is hindsight advice. I did not do that. I made this incredibly difficult on myself in ways that I shouldn't have. Um, but one thing that you can do today that will help you the most is limit what you're looking at on social media and really get your circle straight, your
Oh,
circle
yeah.
of people. Because if you made the decision to divorce, people are going to look at you and say, almost in a veiled way, you don't have a right to be sad. You don't have a right to be upset. You made this choice. Some people are going to make you feel that way. And then there are going to be other people that are just going to constantly bring up the negativity of, well, I knew he or she was like that. I saw that before. You don't need those kind of things. You need the people that are going to lift you up and support you and just hold space for you. And if you have people in your life who are doing the opposite of that, doesn't mean you have to do it forever, but for right now, while you're healing, go ahead and put up your boundaries and block them for a little bit.
I love that. I have been going through lately, like, judgment and things from a few different people, like close to you, like family, things like that. And it really is hard. That's, I think, the hardest thing is we always just want their approval, right? We want their to love us and support us. And then I think that's why maybe it's so much more hurtful when those people that you expect that from come at you like that, right?
Oh, yeah. But they can only give you their approval through their own biased lens. Their
Yes.
approval is only based upon their lived experience, and their lived experience is going to be different than yours. And sometimes they're going to pass judgment because they're jealous. And
Mhm.
people always look at me and go, jealous of divorce? Yeah, they might have wanted one for a really long time and they don't think they're strong enough. They don't think they're
Mm.
capable. So they're going to judge you because they can't take that necessary step. So you have to kind of look at, even if they are loved ones. I mean, my parents, they didn't like my marriage. They didn't like that I got a divorce. It was,
You couldn't win either way.
no, it was a rock and a hard place completely. It's still, even 9 years later, I still don't make the right choices. So, but you have to start to begin to filter that. And if it sounds, I don't know, Hallmark movie channel, but if it doesn't bring you joy, if it doesn't bring you smiles, if it doesn't make you feel a sense of peace, or
Mhm.
if they don't make you feel a sense of peace, let them go for a little bit. Maybe
Yeah.
forever, that's your choice, but at
Mhm.
least while you're in, like you said, you had some friends going through it. If you're in the thick of it, let these people go until you start to get some clarity, because you're in a dense fog and they're only going to be adding to it. What you
Oh,
need
yeah.
right now is clarity.
Yeah, and you're suffering so much and going through so much, you don't need people adding to that. And it is
No.
good to create some boundaries, and maybe, you're not seeing them all the time, just to literally create that so you don't have to hear it. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, it is so hard with society, and, oh, I might be losing friends. I might be you're losing family too when you're going through a divorce too. So there's so much loss, not just the marriage, that
Yes. And
trickles out.
that's something, the loss that you said, that when people lose someone, they pass away,
Mhm.
we extend so much grace to those people. We
Yes.
extend grace to ourselves. We lose pets or grandparents or parents or siblings or
Mhm.
best friends, like, fill in the blank to who's closest to you. We would give ourselves grace. What's the difference? So if you're listening, I want you to ask yourself, if you're in the thick of a divorce, even if you're 9 years post divorce, ask yourself, what's the difference between losing a spouse and a life that you had counted on and losing a person? It's still a death. And I realize there's a gravity and a permanency that comes with, when someone passes away. But there's also a permanency that goes on with losing a life that you had counted on, with
Oh,
losing memories
absolutely.
with your children. And why not give yourself that same level of grace?
Calling all badass moms and entrepreneurs ready to stop surviving and start thriving. Y'all, I am officially opening spots for one-on-one mentorship. This is designed exclusively for the women who know they're meant for more, but feel stuck in the chaos of balancing business, motherhood, and everything in between. I'm not just another coach. I'm a proven business owner who's built an award-winning company, written a best-selling book, launched a podcast, and built a platform, all while raising a family. If you're ready to get unstuck and take bold action, master time management and boundaries, build an unshakable CEO mindset, and prioritize your energy without guilt, then let's make your next level happen. Faster, smarter, and with zero apologies. This is not for the excuse makers. It's only for women ready to go all in on themselves. Remember, spots are limited, so if you are interested, head on over now to Instagram and send me a DM with the word mentorship. I cannot wait to talk to you, girl. Yeah, and it's at some point, it's demanding that you deserve to live a good life. You deserve to live a life of peace and happiness and joy, right? At some point, you have to choose that over choosing to stay in a horrible, loveless, abusive, whatever relationship.
Absolutely. And people ask me all the time, is it really that bad? Well, I can't answer that for you. I don't live in your space,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know. But ways that you can find out is to stop comparing your situation to someone else's. If you think it's that bad, that it's impacting your children, it's impacting your health, it's impacting your wellness, your mind space, any of those things, then yes, it's bad enough.
Yeah. You deserve to live a happy life. We aren't here on this planet to be miserable, right? But I truly
Exactly.
believe there are so many people that have stayed in marriages just because they can't face that judgment. They can't face that, because it just seems so big to them. And yes,
Absolutely.
yeah. Let's see. So how do you think after going through all of this, what are some of the biggest growth you've seen in yourself or change? What are you really proud of yourself now that you have, that you see yourself practicing or doing that maybe back then you're like would have never thought that this would be you?
I am unapologetic about
Mhm.
what I need.
I
I am
love that.
unapologetic about my voice, and I'm unapologetic about who I am as a person. It took me a long time to figure out after my divorce who I was.
Hmm.
And I mean, even, getting remarried, becoming a stepmom, being a mom, being, a career as a nurse. I had all of these labels, these roles, these titles, but I didn't know who I was to my core. And I've really spent the last just couple of years, to be honest, really trying to dig into who that is. And the one theme that has come up is just unapologetic. I'm not going to make myself small for anyone else.
I love that. It's like, why do we want to be like everybody else? If these people seem quote perfect, they aren't. They're lying. They're being fake, right? And so
Yes.
it's like I feel like I'm very similar to like after my book came out, it's like this is me world. I don't care anymore. Like me, hate me, whatever, right? At some point, hopefully in life, you know and love yourself enough to step out into the world like that, right?
Yes. That is
Yes.
what I finally found. And people ask all the time, well, how come you didn't find that sooner? And I'm sure the book was the catalyst for it, but there were also practices that I was putting in place because I had allowed myself to become very unhealthy. I had a lot of very unhealthy habits. I ended up with some disease processes that were solely based upon stress, and
Mm-hmm.
I finally realized that happy, healthy mama I wanted my son to have. I was divorced, and he still wasn't getting it. He
Mm-hmm.
wasn't getting the best version of me. So I also attribute him to be some part of a catalyst. So people always ask, well, how do I get there? your catalyst will be different, whether it's your kids or if you want to write a book or whatever you want to do. But it has to be some sort of a healing journey back to who you are, who you want to be, free of the judgment and unapologetically, like you said, world, this is me. Take it or leave it. It's
Yes.
that simple.
I love that. I love that. So, how is your son thriving now? I mean, is you're modeling now, right? Like you've done the work. You even said, okay, the divorce wasn't just the thing, right? That he needed. It's I had to do the work to provide the best mother, the best modeling, all of that for him. So how has he grown through all of this? And how old is he?
He's 12.
Nice.
So we're in middle school. So I won't necessarily say thriving. Middle school's tough. One
Middle
of the
school
two of
is,
us,
yeah.
yeah, one of the two of us is going to be bald by the time we're done with middle school. But he's doing really well. I think over the last couple of years, despite it even being middle school, he's starting to come into his own. He's starting
Mhm.
to, see some things for what they are.
Yeah.
And I can't say that his dad and I have always done a fantastic job of being our best selves, but we've always tried to at least come together as it relates to Blake. It doesn't always work, but we've
Mhm.
tried. And, I think he's starting to see that. I think he's starting to see that, two happy homes are better than one really miserable home. And he can recall a few things that happened when he was
Mhm.
a child. He remembers some of them, and he'll make comments from time to time where he sees, "Mama, you seem happy," and
Oh,
that is the only validation I will ever need. And like I said, I think that's part of the catalyst for me was I don't care what anyone who knows me, doesn't know me, scrolls across me on Instagram has to say. My child saying that to me is the only validation.
I love that. That's truly, you're like, that makes my heart want to burst. And ultimately, we're living our life for us and our family, right? We are not here to live life based on the judgments of others, based off, oh, well,
Mm-mm.
this, Jenny over here thinks this about me. Oh my God. Like it's very hard to move past that. But at some point, you need to understand, like, I'm showing up in the world at peace and, like you said, unapologetic how I am supposed to be. So I love that he said that. You look happy. I love that.
He's
Um,
so sweet.
yeah, I have an 11-year-old. Almost, he'll be 12 like next week, actually. So I get it.
Oh,
We're going to middle school next year, but that's such a fun age too, where the conversations are getting deeper, and they're asking
oh
you
yeah.
stuff about life, and yeah, I just love them that age. Um, I will say my parents got divorced when I was 3, and then my mom and stepdad have been remarried like 36 or 7 years, like a long time. And so now, being married, my kids have 3 sets of grandparents,
Mhm.
and it's like, and they, like, with my parents, one thing I'm really proud that they did is whether they never like talked shit in front of me about each other. They never like played each other against, like used me as a pawn to like play against each other or whatever.
Yeah.
And we vacationed together, like all of
Oh
us, which is,
wow.
people are like, oh my God, that's so weird. I'm like, it's weird, but it's cool
Mm-mm.
that they knew
Yeah.
that they were going to set the standard, and it didn't have to be nasty. It didn't have to be this shit show, right? And whether they
Right.
do it behind closed doors, I don't know, and I don't care. They never have done it, like talk shit about each other or put each other down in front of me. And I'm so grateful for that, because I think a lot of people just probably go to the nasty side.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I want to say first and foremost, that's not weird. That's incredible, and I
I
applaud
think so
them.
too.
So
Yes.
if they listen to this, or you go tell them I said that is incredible. It's not the norm. I will
For
say
sure.
that. But some people. So this is a little bit of a soapbox of mine. There's a picture that has floated around social media for so long of a step family on the side of like a sporting field, and they
Mm.
all have matching jerseys on with stepdad, mom, dad, stepmom, and people are like, this is what you should aspire to. Yes, but, and I am the queen of two things can be true at the same time. Should you aspire to that? Yes, but is that always possible? Hell no. That is
Yeah.
not
No.
always possible. There are a lot of people who cannot make that work, and as amicable as my ex-husband and I have tried to be, we're not going to make that work either. So
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
to make work what's best for your family dynamic. And if it's something that looks like that, or you can get as close as possible to that, whatever spectrum that looks like, that should be your ultimate goal, because that is what makes, the children. I posted it this morning that children can recover from divorce. They absolutely can, depending on how their parents handle it.
Yes.
And the craziest part for me, I live a life of constant parallels. My my husband's co-parent is that way. Everything is high conflict. Everything is a problem. Everything is drama. It was hundred thousands of dollars worth of debt in family court. Over 200 court filings. Like it's a mess. It's a nightmare. And people always say, well, what if my co-parent or counter-parent does that? Well, I can't help that. Some of it, you're right, you can't help, because you can't change another human being. You can't change an adult, but you can change what you show up to. You can change how you respond and what you do. And eventually, if you stop responding, you stop giving in, you stop giving them what they want. Caveat here, not in abuse situations. I realize that's a whole nother scenario. But when you're just talking about conflict, drama, mouth running, things like that, you can remove yourself from some of those situations and really try to show up where you're not shit talking the other parent. You're not saying things, because at the end of the day, that other parent is 50% of that person. So when you say, I hate your parent, you are saying, I hate 50% of my child. You hate part of their DNA. How are they supposed to respond when you do that?
Oh yeah, that puts a lot. That's a lot to put on a kid, right? And I totally get, there are a lot of situations that you can't come back from, or you could never forgive that person for every divorce is different, whatever you went through, right? There are some things absolutely that you're like, hell no, that's not going to be me just standing there cheering next to you on the sideline wearing a matching jersey, right? But if it's possible, if it's just like pettiness or, drama or whatever, that hopefully at some point you can put aside and move on. But yeah, every situation is totally different for sure. So can you tell us where to find your book? So her book is Uncaged: The Keys to Happily Ever After and Business Ever After, and your business is Ever After Coaching. Can you tell us kind of where to find you and where to find your book?
Yes. So you can find my book on Amazon. You can also find it on my website, which is drcourtney.me. And you can find my Instagram at drcourt_ever after coaching. And you can also link my book from there too.
Awesome. And I will link everything in the show notes too. Okay. One fun thing I like to do. So this is meant to be like lighthearted and fun, because as moms, we do crazy shit. Well, let's say our kids do crazy shit, and then, we respond at times. But do you have any like fun mom fail that you can recall, or something that your child did that was just really funny or ridiculous? Like my child has like accidentally tried to start the house on fire twice, or he shaved his eyebrows off, or, just like random craziness. Do you have anything that comes to mind? Or like another one, my friend, she like forgot her child twice at different baseball events and drove off.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, my child asks me all the time on switch day if I'm going to remember to pick him up. So I'm wondering if I have forgotten to pick him up sometime and he just didn't tell me about it, because he has this like,
please. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, Mom, don't forget about me today. And I'm like, I've never done that. Why did I do that? And that's why you tell me. Maybe I did. I don't know. But no, I mean, most of the time, my child is a literal barrel of laughs all the time. We always joke that he's an 80-year-old in a 12-year-old's body, because he'll just say some of the most off the wall stuff. But yeah, I mean, I would have to say it's probably that he constantly reminds me to come pick him up, and I'm like, I got you.
You might need to sit down with him to, and be like, okay, honey, so is there something you want to tell Mom? Did I actually forget you? Or why do you keep saying this to me? Because now I'm second guessing myself.
Yeah, now I'm second guessing whether I've actually done, like, am I crazy and you just didn't? But if you didn't mention it, who came to pick you up then?
Yeah, like someone got you home at some point. That's funny. You have to laugh through parenthood. all of this, or you
Oh,
would
yeah.
lose your mind. Absolutely. So I just always like to throw that out there. If I love that though.
Yes, I love
Well,
that.
thank you so much for coming on and sharing and and being so vulnerable and like honest about your situation. Cause I know, if people are thinking about it or they're going through it, it's such a big decision and it affects so much of
Absolutely.
your life. So thank you for sharing all your wisdom and advice with everyone listening.
Absolutely, I'm happy to do it, and if you find yourself feeling like you just can't forgive, you can't move on, you can't find it, read my book and reach out,
Yes.
because I promise if I can, you can.
Yes, check out her book. It's amazing, you guys. Uncaged. It's on Amazon. Check it out. You'll love it if you're going through this. And I'm going to share it with my friends that recently got divorced as well. So thank you again so much, and thank you everyone for listening. And always remember, no BS, just real vibes. We will see you next time on Lip Service and Lashes. If you loved the episode, share it on Instagram and tag me so I can say thank you and meet you. Or share it with a girlfriend who you know would love this too. Always remember, no BS, just real vibes. See you next time on Lip Service and Lashes.